Don't have any notes or anything. I'm just going loosey goosey. Yeah.
I love that the transcript got loosey goosey, by the way.
Oh, it did?
I'm watching over here. Yeah, it picked up loosey goosey. What's the other with loosey goosey? And there was Lucky Ducky and Turkey Lurkey. I'm trying to think of all the people in that nursery rhyme.
Yeah, I mean, I have a 2-year-old, so I listen to enough of those. You'd think I should know them all. Like Miss
I don't
Rachel
know why that popped in my head. Is
in
that
the
Chicken
background.
Little? That's Chicken Little, right? Is that Chicken Little story?
I think so, but I kind of like only know that like cursory. Like I don't think I've actually sat and read that one, but I know of it because it's part of the culture.
It's an old timey one, yeah.
Yeah.
And then they made that movie like in the late 90s or early 2000s, Chicken Little, and then that was like kind of reintroduction to some people. But yeah, the book itself is one that's not kind of continued on through it's not Where the Wild Things Are, one of the books that just kind of persistent through the.
We gotta have to like bring it back. Chicken Little, like it's like new and improved, like
I love it.
In like the late 90s, everything was like 2000, right? Because it was just the turn of the century. So it's like 2000, Chicken Little 2000.
I love it.
But in 2025. So.
We need 2025 Chicken Little. What's Chicken Little up to? Yeah, just like a Chicken Little, where are they now?
Chicken Little's like, just go to work, I'm part of a, pickleball league on the weekend.
I love it. That'll be my next, every time I talk to somebody, I get this next level of like what I want to do video wise. And yeah, that'll be you can come on, you can interview me and I'll come on as like, adult, Chicken Little, like, just,
Life hasn't been so kind to him.
Right, his feathers are molted. He's sitting there with a beer in one hand and a cigarette in the other. Just,
He's not technically been divorced twice, but he's separated.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. Well, thanks again, Madeline, for joining.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I love these conversations, especially with folks that I've known for a while, but maybe we haven't talked in depth about our histories and kind of how you started. So I'm really interested in hearing how you started in tech and what that journey's been like. So, it's going to be fun to kind of hear that side of it. Like I said, I've talked to so many people that I've known, but just not quite a few levels down. So I'm excited to hear your story. But why don't you take a second and just introduce yourself for everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Madeline Merced. I work for Carve Code as VP of Marketing. I've been with Carve Code a little over 4 years. And if you can't tell by the accent, I live in the Chicagoland area. Chicago. So definitely between Italian beef sandwiches and deep dish pizza. I take care of my 2 kids and my husband. I grew up in the Wisconsin, in Madison. And so it's nice to be back in the area.
Yeah, it's pretty
good stuff. I'm a Wisconsin girl though. Like, give me a brat. I'm good with brat.
Yep.
Still mustard, spicy brown mustard, and some onions, and you're good.
Yeah. Some people are like the flavor of the hot dog. Other people is just like the condiments that go on. Like my wife it could be a hot dog, it could be a stick. It doesn't matter. She just wants the ketchup and the mustard and all the other things on top of it.
Yeah.
What's inside doesn't matter.
It's the vehicle for the condiments. I mean, I feel like what's that? Jim Gaffigan do a whole joke about that lobster is just like a conduit for butter. Like, I like butter too. Yeah.
I was gonna say, for me, butter is the one. Any kind of vehicle I can eat butter with. Like I'll dip crackers in butter. Like they make these teeny premium crackers, which are perfect for dipping into butter. And so it's like set my stick of butter out, let it get just room temperature soft, and then just walk by and swipe. It's like a butter charcuterie board for me, and just like swiping the butter on. Yeah.
Nice.
So awesome. You're in marketing now, but you started in tech though, right? So you have a tech background. Yeah.
Yeah. So I started as a software developer for Carve Code, and I kind of took a little bit of a topsy-turvy way into tech. Out of high school, I went straight to work. I grew up with a single mom. I'm by way of Puerto Rico and Colombia, and in Madison, and went straight to work. Just worked like retail, waitressing, anything. Didn't go to college, and always was really interested in tech though. And YouTube had just kind of come out, and I was a host for a local television show called Club TNT in Madison, which was like Soul Train, but for teenagers in
Awesome.
2005 and 2006.
That's cool.
And so one of the producers of this local show was constantly talking about how we need to tell kids to do this instead of drugs. Like, don't do drugs, don't do drugs, don't do drugs. And I'm like, well, if we're telling them not to do this, like we should tell them like maybe this is something you can do.
Right.
And growing up with like not a lot of money at all, I was always very resourceful. My mom always taught me to be that way. And I'd always think about I would hear from kids at school sometimes, like during prom season, they'd be like, "Oh, I can't go to prom because I can't get my hair done." And I was like, "Just
Mm.
do it yourself." And they're like, "Well, I don't know how to." And so I created a show for YouTube called, oh, it was video podcasting at the time, called How to Girl. And so I like would do little videos like how to change a flat tire, how to throw a Halloween party, things, fun things like that. I always used to say it was Martha Stewart for young people.
Love it.
And I did that with a friend that worked on Club TNT with me. And once, like, he built the website, but it was, he was more of a back end guy. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go in there and tweak with it. And I really started liking it because it was very creative and it still kind of has the logical side of my brain. And always in the back of my mind, realized that I liked that. And then fast forward 2014 and 2015, I'm in Turkey. My husband works for the State Department, so we moved around, and I'm in Turkey. And the opportunity comes to go back to school, and the software developing degree was available. And I said, well, instead of teaching myself on Code Academy, I'll just take this degree and did that completely remote. Graduated in Toronto in 2019, and then kind of just did some internships, part-time job, and then joined Code in 2021. And now I'm here. So it's funny that now I'm doing marketing and videos because kind of gone full circle
Yeah.
with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that
And
was
when
my
you
journey. Sorry, you can edit any of that.
no, that's perfect. And when you were taking your degree or in your degree, did you have kids at the time, or were you? Is that pre-kids?
So yeah, so I had my husband and I were in Virginia for Turkish language classes for a year, and so
Mhm.
I got pregnant with my daughter, had her in Virginia, and then moved to Turkey when she was 2 months old. So I
Wow.
went back to school when she was a few months old. Yeah.
Gotcha. So how was that just balancing? I mean, um, were you the sole caregiver and going to school, and how did that work out? What was that like?
So in Turkey it was nice because we had we were able to get some help. So I got help
Mm,
once a week, once or twice a week sometimes. And so I could focus on school. But yeah, I was the sole caregiver, and my husband's job, even though we were in Turkey, he had to travel a lot. So yeah,
mm,
it was a lot of, I remember moving my laptop and my desk into her room by her crib so that I
yeah.
could work on some homework because, when they're teething or they're, um, she did not want to sleep in her crib, so it was a lot of holding her
Yeah.
while working on things. And um, there was a few times where I finally got her down for a nap in her crib, and then the call to prayer would start. And we
Mm,
lived right by a big kind of gorge park that had
okay.
three minarets, like three different call to prayers at the same time,
Wow.
so we could hear that. And so she'd
Would
wake up
I would say
usually.
would she wake up or eventually
Yeah,
sleep through it
yeah,
and
and
kind
I'd
of
be
get
like,
used to
"No,
it?
I just got you down." But
It's like that scene in My Cousin Vinny, if you've seen that movie where
yeah,
she's
I
trying
love
to find a place to sleep and it's hogs and it's whistles and it's
it.
this going off. He's like trying to get some sleep there.
Yeah,
Um, and now, how old is your daughter now then?
she's 10.
And is
Yeah.
she did she soak up any of that, like, just by osmosis, being in the room with you, learning all this tech? Is she picking it up? Is she a tech person?
She likes to call herself a gamer girl. She's is kind of more up after her dad, but I was playing a game on my phone a couple of years ago, which was like about SQL.
Uh-huh.
So she learned a little bit of SQL query, like we would do that together. So she's definitely interested in tech.
Yeah,
Um, Favorite thing to do is play on her VR, Gorilla
gotcha.
Tag and all of that. So definitely I think some influence. But I like to to be that example and very quick. a few years ago when we were in Toronto, I was at Old Navy and I wanted to buy her some clothes. And I noticed that there was a little girl section, a little boy section. And the little girl section, they had like sassy but cute and these kind of like sassy little shirt sayings.
Yeah.
And then in the boy section, it was like future astronaut. And I'm like, what? Like, why can't she be a future astronaut? So
Yep.
I got her that gray little shirt that said future astronaut on it, but it was kind of to me an example of how there are still in this day and age this like gender difference, even in the
Yeah.
marketing of to
It,
kids.
it's crazy. And this, because you brought it up, my feeling on it is that it's if your daughter wanted to be a homemaker, if she wanted to be
Mhm.
something that was stereotypically a nurse, whatever, you pick any stereotype that a female might have grown up with. That's cool if that's what she really wants to do and that's what she's gravitated
Absolutely.
towards. But there's no reason that anybody can't be, anything they want to be. And when this marketing is
Mhm.
such a big factor in our lives, like you said, if you go to the store and you like, mom, I want to go to the girls section, and you pop in and all you see is happy homemaker and nurse
Yeah.
and whatever, and you go to the boys section and all it is cowboy and astronaut.
Mhm.
That yeah, it starts to become an ingrained feeling that this is all I can be or this is what I should be. And
Mhm.
there's no reason we can't expand out of that. It's not, I don't see it as being anything wrong with just saying, hey, yeah, just be open to whatever a person wants to be.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I think that what's nice is that I feel like things have been changing more, and she is just as excited about getting a Robux card as she is about getting Sephora, like
Yeah.
all of
Right.
that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because all the kids now are into Sephora, I guess. So, um, that's it's nice that you don't have to kind of pigeonhole yourself like, oh, because I'm into tech, I can't be into girly things or I can't be into
That's the
homemaking.
cool thing. Just because you're into tech
Mhm,
doesn't mean you're something. And you can be
mhm.
a techie girl, techie
Yeah,
boy. All these things, are so fluid that it's kind of awesome when people find their niche, their unique piece of it. Like, hey, this is my
absolutely.
piece of this, and this is what I bring. That's a little bit different in the way I
Mhm.
present in tech, which is awesome. Yeah. And does she still have the
Mhm.
gray shirt? Like we have got like boxes of what we call posterity boxes, which you just they keep growing and I can't get rid of this, but but I don't want it in my room anymore. So we
Yeah.
have these boxes of like little shirts and things. And does she have this shirt somewhere? Do you have it like stashed?
I I don't. I think I got rid of the shirt, but I do have keeps I call them keepsake boxes, but I like the posterity name for them too. But I do have a few of those
Yeah.
in the garage.
Yeah. My advice: start getting like we're at the point where my kids are 26 and 24, and we're
Oh
getting ready to
wow.
move again. So our crawl space is full of these boxes marked, K's posterity, J's posterity, and it's like, oh my god, we got to go through these. I got to get down from like 20 boxes to one, you
Yeah.
know, or all the art we kept, like
Pictures. You
pictures
gotta
and
take
all the like
pictures of them. Yeah.
exactly take pictures of all this art that we collected, the same picture
Mhm.
like when they're a kid, like how many like wacky looking smiley faces do I need, like with these crazy big eyes and teeth, and it's like, yeah, one's great, 20,000 probably not so much. I can recycle.
Oh yeah, and then you send them to summer camp and they're like, we don't know what to do with them, so we'll send them home with like 40 crafts per
Yeah,
day.
exactly.
Like the
Yeah,
first time you're like, oh, that's so sweet. And then like 50 crafts later, you're like, okay, let's
exactly.
maybe take a picture of this and set it aside.
And even the first kid going to the first camp, and you got all that, and then the second kid's like, yeah, we don't need that.
Yeah.
sorry, sorry, junior two, you don't get, we don't have anything for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true.
So it's interesting, because I've talked to a fair number of females now in tech, and there's a lot of times a male influence. Their dad was really influential in their tech journey. But it sounds like yours came about much later. When you were in high school, did you feel an inclination? Like I didn't. Like for me, it was definitely late stage. Like you, I got out of high school. We also were not rich. My dad owned a business, but it was really seasonal, and we were winter poor and rich, summer rich. So, um, kind of
It's
grew up,
never gonna end.
yeah, I kind of grew up, and I just kind of, like you said, jumped right into the workforce and didn't really have my tech career dialed in until much later in my 30s. Um, and didn't even think about tech. I took a computer class or two in high school, but it didn't resonate for me. I just, it just wasn't my thing
Mhm.
then.
kind of discovered later. Did you have an inkling? Was there, was it even on your radar back then?
I wasn't a great student. I think because of so much of the chaos of my life growing up, and there's a lot of trauma and things like that in the background that caused a lot of anxiety and stuff. So that school was kind of on the back burner for
Yeah.
me, and so I think naturally I didn't really think tech was for me because that was for
Mm,
the smart kids. That was for the
mm,
kids that had their parents were involved. My dad was not in the picture at all,
yeah.
so there was there was no world in which like I was gonna be doing tech like the really smart kids.
Do you remember um
Mm.
seeing women in tech, or feeling like like you could even see yourself in the tech industry? Like, was that even a thing when you were in high school?
What's interesting is that there was a at the time I didn't really see women in tech, but I did have a friend when we were in middle school and sixth grade when the Lilith Fair was really popular.
Yeah, yeah.
And she created a club, which was like, I think, gosh, if it was 2 months, it was not longer than that, maybe. And I just joined it because she was a friend of mine, and she was very smart,
Yeah.
super accomplished girl, and so she created the Lilith Club, and we went into the computer lab and kind of
Okay.
played around.
Okay.
And that was the closest I got to anything tech related.
Yeah.
And I don't even remember doing anything on there. Um, but but yeah, I in terms of seeing, I wasn't really seeking the role model, so I don't know if there
Yeah.
were role models that were out
Fair enough.
there.
Yeah.
I was more interested in at the time because when I was really little, my mom put me in modeling and acting and things like that. So I was more involved in that world.
Yeah.
And I loved cooking. I've always been obsessed with PBS, Martha Stewart. I was 6 years
Yeah.
old. When I was in fourth grade, I asked for a cookbook for my birthday. Like,
Oh, nice.
and I wanted a KitchenAid blender was like my dream. My husband finally got me one when I was like in my 20s, and
Yeah,
I still
those are
have
pretty
it.
cool. Like, you're talking about the
Yeah, the
mixer
stand
stand
mixer.
mixers. Yeah,
Yeah,
those are good. I don't
yeah,
have one.
I'm a
My mom
kitchen.
does though, and I love using it.
Yeah, I'm like, so I've always been into cooking, and I remember watching Food Network and being like maybe that would be cool. And so when I started doing the how-to stuff, that was more um of what I was interested in. But as I got more involved into like seeing the back end, first it was the website, and then I'm like, okay, I'm going to dip my toe in. And I started with Code Academy and all of that. I realized there was a lot of overlap
Mm,
with the creativity and like kind of being resourceful.
yeah.
And even like I like to joke that I love putting together IKEA furniture. I love putting together things. I love creating. And
Yeah.
this is just another form of creation in code. And so as I kept saying, okay, if I don't like it, I can change my mind. I'll try something else. But I just kept falling in love with it more and more and more.
Mm.
And so when I joined Cap to Code, I joined as a software developer. I didn't even know what an ERP was.
Were you developing in X plus plus?
Yeah, so when I joined, that's what we were developing in, but very quickly I started helping in all the other areas. So I started helping with our website design because I
Gotcha.
had had the previous experience, and
Yeah.
I jumped in there wherever we needed because we were a small company. So whatever we
Yep.
needed help with, I would jump in there, and I just kind of slowly, naturally evolved into now my role, which is kind of what I used to do, which is creating content
Yeah.
and helping with that. And then I do some licensing here and there for clients. Just jump in where I'm needed, but
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it a lot. This role, and I've been in it since July
Yeah.
fully. So.
Do you miss coding at all?
I do sometimes. I miss not as much as I would expect. Um, I think that because I'm still able to be really creative,
Mm,
I'm able to I don't miss it as much, but I do love prompting now. Like
yeah.
I think that that's what's changed because I'm playing with Chat GPT like all day, every
You
day.
bet.
I'm showing everybody everything. I'm in the Reddit forum, like looking at Chat GPT prompt genius, like all of that is so fun.
Yeah. It
So
is.
I think that's
That's
replaced
like the
it.
next level of coding for like
It is.
folks. Yeah.
I really think that that's going to be what coding is. It's going to be like, are you good at prompting? Can you prompt?
Certainly is going to be a big portion of
Yeah.
productivity and daily life, no doubt.
Mhm. Oh,
Um,
I use it for everything. I mean, I told it the other day, I'm like, "Oh, I only have these ingredients in my house. What should I make?" And it was
yeah.
like, "You can make this, this, and this." It's just so
And then,
cool.
take it like you said, I've been also, it's kind of like, it's an easy thing for me to assimilate to. That's like, to code. Like if I wanted, I was also a programmer for, almost
Mhm.
20 years. And so before I switched over into, Ellipse and then here at Doug, and I do miss the programming piece, but so it is kind of nice to have something that's similar. Like you said, it kind of
Yeah.
constructs, because a good prompt is not just a one and done. It can be multi-layered. Like you said, hey, it asks for the ingredients, but then you layer in, oh, by the way, one of my kids is,
Mhm.
celiac, and we want this to be an Indian, dish, and you start to keep layering these things on you know that make it, to fine tune that prompt.
Yeah, absolutely. You could I mean, I think I hit the limit with one of them because I was just because I'm like, "Okay, create this spreadsheet. Okay, I want you to analyze this as Jeff Bezos. I want you to analyze this as this." Like, I always am asking it to review things
Yeah,
by different experts. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy that, and I
yeah.
use it every day in my personal life, in my work life, all the time. Just
That's
super
what I'm saying.
interested.
Every side. I just One of the more interesting things I saw recently was people who are preparing for interviews, having it interview you, like give it the job
Yeah,
description and tell it, I want you to ask pertinent questions from every, job responsibility, every qualification. And not too far away from actually having a person be able to do that as
yeah,
opposed to just chat GPT. Um, or just a text feedback, but actually, I'm sure there's something being modeled that says, hey, it's an actual person that gives you this feel so you can prep for interviews. I mean, just so
yeah,
many ways to, I mean, it's just every I'm never surprised at the level of what we can do with AI and with Copilot, chat with Gemini, whatever one you're using, wherever you
yeah,
are in life. They're all really interesting and very valuable for sure.
yeah. Yeah, I am, even had it help my daughter study, like, you can load it with a study guide and then have it
Yeah,
ask questions and
yeah,
quiz you, and it's a fun way to study, so
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's just yeah. If you don't have
Mhm,
somebody to study partner, you've got a built-in study
mhm,
partner that's going to follow the rules of what you have to do
mhm,
there on your quiz. So you started your tech journey late. You
mhm,
probably weren't feeling as much of the early onset of like, that kind of where it was rare to see a woman in a tech role.
mhm.
But did you have any hurdles, anything that of note that was like, hey, this I'm still feeling this, or you know, it's again, I've said this, I feel like it's a thing, and especially in our industry, there's a lot of smart women in the dynamics community. I mean, just
Mhm.
you know, everywhere. I love it that there's that, it feels very in my little privileged world and dynamics ecosystem, it feels like we have a great bit of diversity. But it doesn't mean that there still isn't some work to be done on inclusiveness in the moment in the room. So any hurdles that you felt kind of getting that start in tech?
You know, not not specifically, I think it's mostly there's this idea of more that you have to prove yourself. You're kind of it's kind of hard to explain and I apologize if it doesn't if I'm misexplaining it, but it's kind of like if there's a person that comes in and fits the prototype of a programmer, like maybe like guy who's who's like clearly been programming, doesn't really go outside a lot or whatever, and that's the prototype.
Yeah,
There, all things being equal, it it would mean to me it would feel like they their answer would probably be taken more seriously than my answer because I don't fit that that archetype of like
yeah,
programmer. But personally, explicitly, it hasn't happened like where it's super obvious. There have been a few times where I've had in the past where I've shared an idea, it's been dismissed, and then someone who is male shares the exact same idea, and it's a good idea.
Yeah.
And it's hard to not know, like, not to get annoyed by that, because you're like, well, I literally just said that. But I'm
It seems
really
to be a
grateful.
common thing. I've heard that like probably, every other person, probably even more than that, probably, you know, 1.9% of the time, or, one out of every, two interviews, I've heard that it
Yeah,
seems to be a common, con, you know, a common problem.
it is. And what I'm grateful for and lucky with Cap to Code, when I joined, there were a lot of women already here. And we have gone between 40 to 60%. We're a small company, so we've
Mhm.
gone between 40 to 60%. So I haven't experienced that here. But just in general with clients, even sometimes they'll they'll listen to the guy more. They'll
I think that's where you're going to see it. Like I
yeah,
continue to
take
hear, like,
rooms.
you're going to gravitate towards an organization that's supportive
Hmm.
most time, or if it's
Yeah.
not supportive, you're going to move on likely if you can, and you're able to. And I was going to ask, I feel like, the little I know of Capta Code, and I've known you
Hmm.
guys for a couple years now, that it is a very inclusive organization. That
Hmm.
it's got that, and that starts from the top down. That that the person at the very top is like setting that tone of here's how we do business. So
Yeah.
there is little room for this, other kind of negative side. But when you get out in the real world, where you're
Hmm.
with client A, B, C, and D, then you are opening up to maybe some experience that, is not as filtered as what you're getting internally.
It's an so that you reminded me of an interesting story. A few years ago, we had a client that me and another coworker who was female were on the call, and then another one of our coworkers who's male was on the call, and the client was just, it was normal. It felt like a normal call and everything, and then afterwards, um, my boss and this male coworker came and they were like, "We are so sorry. They were so misogynistic on that call. We are going to
Wow.
address it, blah, blah, blah." And me and the other female coworker were like, "Really? We didn't
Yeah.
even notice it," because we were so used to it. Like, to
Mm.
them, they saw it more clearly.
Yeah.
And then when they pointed out, like, well, they dismissed you guys and they said this and this and this, we're like, "Oh, yeah, I mean, that's just how these good old boys sometimes are. Like, you just used to it, you know?"
Right. It's an interesting
And
point
yeah, they
you make.
pointed it out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
But I did want to say also, like, well, I can let you. We can go on and on with that subject, but yeah, I think it is an interesting thing how ingrained it is, right,
yeah.
in
And
society.
what you made me think of there too is that, maybe I am. You said you're used to seeing it. You're used to hearing it. Maybe you've rectified it. It's not, you don't let it bother you. And then somebody like me is sensitive to it now. I'm trying to, it's like, I don't want to hear that. They shouldn't have to hear that. You were dismissing it. And it depends how egregious. I mean, sometimes if it's egregious enough, hopefully somebody in the moment steps up and says something. If it's
Oh
just
yeah.
wildly out there, if it's just, if it's pattern, kind of whatever you would call, white noise,
Mhm.
prejudice, or misogyny, whatever you would call that, that is maybe that is addressed separately. But yeah, maybe I wouldn't want to try to make controversy where there isn't any, if
Right.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Uh, not trying to create, just to stir up something. I mean, what's been interesting is I'm hearing a lot of positivity around the changes and around people that have addressed things in the moment, or kind of work their way into something that's really um, um, comfortable, but knowing that there's still lots of work to be done, lots of change that can happen,
Mhm.
to just kind of continue to thin out any of those moments that can crop up that
Yeah, and
could
I
make
think
somebody uncomfortable.
Yeah, and I think, like, you gotta be careful, right? Because you don't wanna make everything a problem, because if it's everything's a problem, then nothing is. And then
Right.
on top of that, if the person is not necessarily disturbed, and it's not an egregious issue, and they might be upset that you're standing up, and they're like, I wasn't bothered by that. Why are you acting up? Right. So
Right.
it's about figuring kind of that balance. And I think that's what can be difficult in a remote situation. I think
Mm,
luckily, especially in our industry, those are very few and far between.
yeah.
So it's nice though that I've never had that experience where the guy the guys were noticing before the women did,
Yeah.
and they were so attuned. So it's nice to see that they're allies out there.
I've seen that plenty of times. I feel like you said, where it may not be something so awful that it just stops the room, but it's enough that I picked up on it. But maybe because you didn't want to, the person in the room, the females in the room didn't want to make a big deal out of it. They just kind of let it
Mhm.
slide, laughed it
Yeah,
off, whatever. And I'm the one going in the back is like, guys, you can't. I know, they may act like they don't care, but that's just inappropriate. Come on, we can do better in life,
yeah,
um, around how we interact in professional settings. So,
yeah,
yeah, if you're joking with your buddies and everybody's, that's everybody's in on the joke and that's the way you guys rolled, and that's cool too.
yeah.
If that's the group dynamic, that's that little group dynamic. But in a broader sense, from a professional side, I always, feel like there is a threshold line that says
Mhm.
here's where we should operate, consistently, to make sure
Yeah.
everybody feels included and comfortable, and
Mhm.
not at all, at ease,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
ill at ease. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Um, so once you got into tech, did you have any mentors? I mean, so you didn't, obviously, starting out, there wasn't a mentor kind of thing, but once you started to get into tech and broke in, did you look for, did you find anybody that would mentor you? How was that experience?
So in terms of mentors, I really just had Ben from Calf to Code is my mentor, but I'm really into personal development.
Hmm?
And even before I joined Calf to Code, before I even went into the software development route, um, one of the things that I learned in personal development was the idea of you are who you surround yourself with.
Hmm.
And I don't know about you, but a lot of times you don't have access to all of these people. And one of the best pieces of advice I learned from one of these podcasts was just because you don't necessarily have direct access to a mentor doesn't mean that you can't learn from them and you
Yeah.
can't still surround yourself with that. So I love to listen to a lot of personal development books and listen to podcasts. So I almost look at them as like my mentors
Sure.
in that, and then that's been key in helping with those gaps when because jumping into this role I had to be able to take that jump, that leap of okay, you can do it. There's a
Yeah.
lot of mindset work that goes into being able to do all of these things that I've been asked to do and I've been doing for these last few years because a
Yeah.
lot of it is stuff I've never done before, so I'm learning as I go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's to your point. Like, I think of LinkedIn, a big business tool, and
Mhm.
I've cultivated my LinkedIn feed it's kind of just always feeding me, like, like you said, just
Mhm.
information from people who I want to learn from and who are putting out good
Mhm.
content. And so I'm constantly picking up little things. Almost, there was a
Yeah.
gentleman on a couple weeks ago. It's like, how do I even keep up with all this stuff? It's like impossible to really keep up with all the good content that people are putting
Yeah.
out. You gotta kind of pick and choose, save, clock,
Yes,
just kind of
yeah.
like,
Yeah, just
how do you
save it
do it?
all.
Like, how do you keep up with all the content? What do you do to stay on top? And what, where do you cut the line?
It's a good question. I have to be cognizant not to be constantly consuming because it can be really easy to. So I'm kind of been with LinkedIn, I've kind of gotten into in a good habit of just checking for like just check my main feed for like a couple minutes, like what I
Yeah.
like, and if it didn't show up, that's okay. Like if it didn't show up in front of me, I
Yeah.
used to when I first was getting into LinkedIn, I even made a spreadsheet of people that I wanted to follow, and I
Nice.
would have links in there of their profiles, and I would go and open up their profiles every morning and try to comment. But that quickly became unmanageable and
That's a
untenable,
full-time
so
job in
it
itself to
is
try to do
exactly.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and even managing your inbox in LinkedIn is like impossible. So I've just kind of been okay with like if I meant to see it, it'll show up, and if I'm not, it'll come again later.
Which is
Now I'm
strange.
not
A
so
lot of times it does. You'll circle
yeah.
something 2 weeks later will pop up. It's like, wow, how did I miss that? That was really good content.
Yeah, and I've told everyone at Cap to Code, I'm like, if you want the Cap to Code page, which I manage to interact with your work, like tag us because if I don't see it, then I'm not going to go hunting as we keep
Yeah.
growing. I mean, I can't go hunt for all of it because I have to have enough time to be able to actually create. If I'm constantly consuming, I can't create anything.
Yeah, and if you're
Yeah.
like me, I like when I interact on LinkedIn, I like to be personal. So I do like a few things, but I also like the interaction of being able to respond to
Mhm.
something that I've read or listened to or consumed, and so that I'm providing not only feedback to the community, but to that person and uplifting their you know their
Mhm.
contribution to the community. So it does take time, and like you said,
It does, yeah.
it's good to get that even like you said for Dynamics user group for Doug. If they put something out that's even my own content and they don't tag me, like 3 weeks later I'll go like, oh, they posted on my behalf. I didn't know because it got churned into that vortex and
Yeah.
didn't spin to me
Then
until like
spits
three
it
weeks
back
later.
out. Yeah, that is a nice feature. It can be I know at first it bothered me that LinkedIn would show me stuff that was, like, old, but
Yeah,
I think in a way we can leverage it as creating evergreen content, kinda like YouTube,
yeah,
whereas, like, "Oh, okay, I can still search for a video 2 years later and get as much value from it." So,
yeah. You bet.
yeah,
That's good.
yeah.
Good point. Yep. With
Mhm.
your husband traveling, I assume he still travels.
Yeah, mhm.
In your current role, any tips, tricks? What do you do to stay balanced? With your work responsibilities, and you have two kids or just the
I have
one?
2,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
so I have
thought
a
so. Yeah,
two-year-old and a 10-year-old.
yeah. So that's a
Um,
big spread. So you got a
it
lot of
is
different like things.
yeah, the first thing is there's no such thing as balance. I'm still trying to answer that question. I think it's recognizing that there's different seasons in life, and so you're not gonna be able to do everything all at once.
Hmm,
Um, if I think I wrote a post on LinkedIn about a year and a half ago because I was thinking about this and staring at the Cricut, which is like a paper card maker for everyone
hmm,
out there that doesn't
yep.
know, in the corner that I hadn't used in a few years, and I was just staring at it. And this idea of seasons came into mind, like, there's going to be a time where things aren't as busy that I can
Yeah,
sit down and work on this, but this isn't the season for that. This I'm not going to
yeah,
beat myself up for not being able to work on the Cricut and bake the bread and be a part of every single volunteer opportunity in the PTA and be an executive at a corporation and then be on every client call, and it's just impossible. And so what I've really distilled it down to is it's about what is your number one priority, and then your priorities after that, and then balancing that out. Um, there's a book called The One Thing where they really talk about this, and he talks about this idea that um, you're juggling these balls
hmm,
in life, and work is a rubber ball, but family, that's a glass ball. Like you can't drop that ball.
yeah,
And that's the same thing for me. It's like I love this job. I love being part of the community, but my kids and my husband are number one. And
yeah,
so everything else has to kind of fall along outside in that as like when they're number one. And so it's about being okay with the FOMO when you're saying, no, I can't go to that conference or I can't go on that client trip because my kids are at home
yeah,
and I need to be with them and I already traveled or their dad was just gone or their dad is gone. I
yeah,
couldn't have my mother-in-law take care of them. And she's wonderful and she helps out all the time. But I also, as being the one that's home, primarily, I have to be their rock, and that's really
yeah,
important to me because it's such a short time that I have with them at home, and I don't want to one day look up and be like, "Oh man, I come have dinner with me, guys," when they're on living their own lives, and I could have had dinner with them every night at home. So, I've really been working on creating boundaries for myself and recognizing that I'm not 20 something without kids and without other responsibilities and can't just hop on a plane and travel or can't work all weekend on something. So
Yep.
it's hard because as a people pleaser and a type A who wants to do everything, I want to be able to devote 100% of my time to everything that I do, but I can't. And so if you make that choice, you have to make that choice because if you don't
Yeah.
choose, you are choosing. And so that's kind of how I've reconciled that.
I love that the analysis with the rubber ball and the glass ball,
Mhm.
and truly that there's, very limited number of those balls you don't want to drop.
Yeah.
But hobbies and work and other things that can ebb and flow, like you said, I
Mhm.
do the same thing. My brain is like it's shattered into a thousand, separate little bobbies that want to do everything at one time,
Yeah.
and really disappointed
I
when I
really
can't. But I like you, I came to a realization at some point that said I can't do all this.
yeah.
I want to, but I can't. When I feel like playing guitar, I pick it up, but I'm not like playing guitar every day. If I feel like carving or doing some art, I do that, but not every day. It's just whatever
Mhm.
that, like Dick said, that transitional rubber ball is at that moment. It's like, oh, today I feel like doing this. Cool. That's the rubber ball I'm
Yeah.
bouncing with giving myself grace. And the other thing that I think is changing and evolving is this idea that when you do, because I think you're still predominantly, you're a caretaker. There's a time at which this was a detriment to your probably your career path.
Mhm.
So I've got to take care of the kids. I can't travel, but Joe can because Joe's wife is taking care of the kids, and so Joe gets all the
Yeah.
accolades and gets to be out there, and Betty has to stay at home. And so I think there's just an evolution of folks like Kafka Code and other, again, pretty much everybody I've talked to has got a great story around this evolution of thought and
Mhm.
acceptance. And we've got a super smart person here with Madeline. Yeah, we're gonna make flexibility a thing so that, yeah, she can't go on this trip, but that's not a negative. It's just she'll be on the next trip or whenever she can.
Yeah.
And while she's, at home, she's still going to be a great part of our company as she's an asset. So there's no
Mhm.
distinguishing just because Joe could make the trip and you couldn't. You're still a valuable part of the company. And I feel like
Mhm.
that's evolving. I don't know,
Mhm.
how you feel about that, but it feels like in my conversations with people, it is, again, in our industry, in our little
Mhm.
ecosystem and little world, it feels like it's evolving.
Yeah, I think it's twofold. I think there's the mind drama that one can have as somebody that wants to deliver and wants and doesn't wants to be part of everything and wants to be helping to grow and participate and deliver. Um, and recognizing that that's not possible for what you've said is most important to you in your life. And so being okay with that. And then it's the other side is that there exists companies and there will be clients and there will be companies who are going to say, um, though you're great, but they're a little bit better because they're always on site. And
Mm,
and that's I don't know if that's wrong or right. That's their prerogative. And and so you have to be okay with, okay, I've made my choice and that's the reality of it. Luckily, with where I work, and it sounds like with the other people you've talked to, there's a lot of flexibility with that. And there isn't that pressure of like, okay, if you're not traveling, then you don't get this or that or the other.
yeah.
Um, but at the same point, I recognize that there's going to be times where people that I work with travel and are sacrificing their personal life and sacrificing their time. And so
As
they
you
should,
have, I'm sure.
yeah, and they should be rewarded for that. And they should, and it would not be fair of me to be like, well, why didn't I get that extra bonus? Well, because I didn't do the thing, right?
Mm,
So it's about fairness and what makes sense. And so if they are traveling, then they should get the rewards for that, and I'm getting the reward that my choice being honored as well. So I did want to say, because I know that we're coming closer to time, but I do, and you kind of alluded to it a little bit, but flexibility is really, really important to me in work.
Yeah.
Um, I say it all the time. If it wasn't for a flexible work environment, I would not be working full time. I just
Yeah.
wouldn't, because with the nature of my husband's work, and even if his work wasn't traveling all the time, it's just being able to be available for my kids, pick them up from
Yep.
school, drop them off, go to Girl Scout meetings, although my daughter's not Miss Girl Scout anymore, but in the past.
Yeah. Yeah.
Things like that are so important.
Mhm.
Um, and then I can see as I'm starting to enter the sandwich generation here, it's going to be important too to be able to be available for my mom and for like my in-laws and all of that. So
Yeah.
I really, I know that there's a big push right now for return to the office and all of that, but I really do hope that other companies out there can see that by adding the flexibility piece and flexible schedules, you're going to allow for more diversity in your company, because people that come from non-traditional backgrounds are able to participate then more fully.
Yep. You just summed up what I was going to comment on your previous um, point of, a person who travels versus a person who doesn't travel being rewarded, and the prerogative of a company to say, hey, sorry, we need you on site, or we need you in the office. And
Mhm,
I totally agree with you. That is their prerogative. My only
mhm.
caveat would be you're probably missing out on some really kick-ass people in
Yeah,
your industry by closing yourself off. The work from home thing was, even pre-pandemic, I worked at a company that had an art department, and these artists could work from home.
yeah,
And I had conversations with them all the time, and about this. They were like, "Ah, I wish we could work from home." I was like, "Yeah." And like some of them, like, one person loved to work at night. Like he was most
yeah,
creative from like 9 p.m. until 3 in the morning. And for me, I was like, guy, yeah, folks, why can't we just like look at each individual case and say, hey, why isn't it we don't look at it and say, yeah, if Bill can be creative at this time of the night, let's do it. Why wouldn't you want his best work?
yeah,
Even if it's not traditional in your mind, it's hard to break out of that traditional mindset of being at an office. I can see you. I
yeah,
see you're working,
yeah,
as opposed to just knowing what you're expecting. And if you're getting those expectations met, then who cares where they are in life or what they're doing and the flexibility. Hey, your days, like you said, probably all over the place like mine.
oh
Like I get up,
yeah,
I start working, and then I run to the store because I forgot something, and I come back, and then I do some more
mhm,
stuff. And now it's nice out. Let me rake the lawn, and
yeah,
whatever. But I'm getting my work done, and as long as my boss thinks that I'm getting my work done, then it
yeah.
doesn't really matter.
Yeah, as long as you're delivering, I think that's what's most important. This idea of, well, if I don't see you in the seat 8 to 5, then you're not working is ridiculous. And I
Yeah,
think I mean, my goal was always to work from home, because I knew that with the traveling and if we're moving and things like that, it would
yeah.
be important for that flexibility. And plus I just enjoy working from home. And there's some people who hate it, and I respect them
Took me a
for
while to get
that.
used to it.
Yeah. But I can't imagine why it, like, how much harder it is for people who do enjoy working from home, who are now having to go back to the office with their commutes and their lunches. 'Cause I remember when I worked in the office, it was, you would, if you didn't pack your lunch, then you're going and spending money, and
Yeah,
it's so much better for my quality of life working from home. But I understand why some people don't like it, or why some companies are
I said everybody's
insistent
got
on,
their own
yeah,
comfort level, but I agree with you. I think there's plenty of room for proper management of it,
yeah,
and expectations, and keeping that flexibility in place seems paramount. Like you made me think, I never even thought about this before, but my mom worked part time when I was growing up, and her part time jobs were relegated to like secretary work.
yeah,
And so she was making probably, minimum wage or less. And what a great, again, industry to find a place where you could got this extreme flexibility, but also the ability to make a full-time wage with this flexibility that's substantial. This is, it's not just a part-time job in any sense. But even talking to some of the, talking to this gal who's on maternity leave, more of an extended maternity leave, but still working part-time. Just
mhm,
this the amount of flexibility in a space where you can, um where the salary is, higher, and you can still make it worthwhile is interesting. Hadn't really
Yeah, I
thought of
think it's just, I think that something I noticed even, gosh, 10 or so years ago is there's a lot of women out there who, for whatever reason, want to be home with their kids. Either they want to be home with their kids or daycare is prohibitively expensive, which it
Yeah,
is for many people, but they want to still be able to work and contribute to their household finances.
yeah,
And so I think that's why, and we can go, this will go down another rabbit hole, but I think that's why you see so many women joining MLMs, because they're trying to figure out how can they contribute to
mm,
their households while still being able to have that flexibility and all of that. And so I think that it would be really nice if we could create more opportunities in businesses like ours and in industries like ours, for women who want to contribute, or all people, obviously, people from all backgrounds who want to contribute to their household, who still also want to be home with their kids, whatever it is. Obviously, my son is in daycare because you I have to be able to work and be at home. But there's,
two
there
two
are
year old
other
be tough,
jobs.
and 10, yeah, yeah.
2-year-old's tough. He would be in here telling me to go on timeout, as he loves to do. Um, but yeah, so that's where I think and then not only, because this is something I noticed too, it's not only for caregivers, it's also for people from different cultures,
Mm,
because there are different cultural expectations for people. I've
yeah,
worked in the past with a person the who was in their culture, she was responsible for taking care of her in-laws, and taking care of all of the food. And so she would
yeah,
wake up really early in the morning to cook full spread every day for of breakfast and then dinner.
wow,
And so she needed flexible work to be
yeah.
able to take care of that and everything else. These people that need to travel overseas for extended periods of times because of certain expectations or things that they need to take care of. And so I think just kind of thinking outside of the 8 to 5 office,
I
you
think
know,
that's the key.
things
It's slow. It's a slow
is different.
process. I feel like I'm seeing it happen, in my
Yeah.
time in business from a very rigid, like you said, 9 to 8 to 5, 9 to 5 mentality, uh,
Mhm.
40-hour paycheck, 60-hour work week kind of mentality to people starting to open up to the idea that, hey, this can work if we're
Yeah.
diligent, if we think it through, if we're kind of, you know, we're kind of just taking it to the next couple levels
Mhm.
of thought. It can work. It just takes more effort for sure.
Yeah,
And I think,
it
but
does.
but then you
Yeah.
get to have cool people like Madeline on your team and other. It's like you don't miss out on some
Thanks.
really great talent that you would
Yeah.
otherwise be missing out on. Like you said, this diversity of people, talent, however you look at it, you're going to be missing out on that. I think is again, it's fun to see it happen, but it could happen faster and more, and
Yeah.
hopefully, as more people see it working, it does. When they see your
Yeah.
story, it's like, wow, it actually can work. It just needs a little time to get it figured out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think it would be wonderful, and I'm glad that been privileged enough and blessed enough to be in this situation, and I just really hope we can have more people in
Yeah,
that same boat.
yeah. I think again, it's just when you've got companies like Code, like Doug, like you just yeah, and again, almost everybody I've talked to has got some similar story of, I think we're getting there, we're evolving, and I want to say in our little vacuum and silo within our industry, it feels that way. So yeah, other industries are coming along too. So the greater population is feeling some of that.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I was speaking with somebody from Microsoft a couple of weeks ago, and they said that they have a really flexible environment too. So I thought that was really
Yeah,
interesting, because they're such a big corporation that
yeah,
they're doing it at scale is pretty cool.
that is really cool because you said you're a small company, we're a small company.
Yeah.
Um, it's harder to do at scale, like
Yeah.
but again, I'm at a point. It goes back to that top person being the one who's 100% invested. I think it was I want to say it was Stone Ridge. I've been watching a series of interviews with Rory DeGood,
Oh, okay, yeah.
and he's been interviewing the CEO of Stone Ridge, who is just 100% bought into inclusivity and flexibility and an open and welcoming workplace, and that's part of their DNA. And if it's coming from like the 3 levels down, it's hard. It's got to come from
Right.
that the very top of the pyramid, or as close to the top as you can to
Yeah.
get that full feeling of that transformational change. In my opinion, I've just in the companies I've
Yeah.
seen, I'm usually the one like trying to make it happen from down below, and it's a slog,
Right.
because
They're like, well, what are you talking about?
or do whatever you want to do, but then it's like, yeah, but if you're not buying in, nobody's listening to me, so it's got to come from the top to some
Yeah.
degree, with some enthusiasm and passion, not just sure whatever he says, because then that's not the same as me standing up and saying, yes, we do this because it's right, and here's why, and I'm excited by it.
Well, I think that's where the explaining why it's so important becomes like the key, because if it's like, oh, well, they want to work from home so that they can work in their pajamas all day. That's not nobody
Which is
wants to.
true, but yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no
beside the
one wants
point.
to back that up, but it's like, oh, they want to work from home because they help take care of their grandmother,
Yeah,
or they want to work from home because they're neurodivergent and being in an office is really difficult for them.
yeah.
But they're amazing with this or
That's the
that.
point. They're just amazing, and that's the other flip side. Is like, by the way, they're kicking butt over here at their job, so
Yeah,
it's successful. This is why we continue to do it, because otherwise we might not have this person on our team, if
right.
we didn't make this flexibility or this flexible choice for them. So yeah, I think having
Yeah,
this mindset is going to create a much better, stronger company for you, in the end. Yeah,
yeah. And then when and so how it's not hard to not be passionate, double negative, when you hear something like that. Then you're
yeah,
like, okay, where do I sign up? Of course, I want this person
right.
to be able to be a part of our
You're going to
company.
start
Like, why
attracting
would I
good
stop
talent.
them? Right.
Yeah,
And I feel like that's why we've gotten such amazing talent the last few years that have joined us. We just have been able to attract such top tier talent is because they see um, that flexibility and
yeah,
that ability to be like, oh, we'll just treat you like a human being,
yeah.
which is
It's
like,
been
wow, what a
yeah,
concept.
so cool to see you guys grow. I mean, because we met in Dallas in 23. Does that sound right? Or was it 22?
So we met in. I wasn't at Dallas. I was in California. That's where we met, I think. Oh no, we met in Dallas. You're right. You and I
Yeah,
met in
at the
Dallas.
emerging
I thought
part,
we
the
met in
emerging.
Doug. No, we met in Dallas in
Yeah,
22.
yeah,
Yeah,
yep. And
yeah,
then with that emerging partners program, and then
yeah,
brought it through, and to see just I'm always like I'm opening up LinkedIn, waiting to see what cool MVP person has joined Capta Code this week, because you guys are just, yeah, you're building such a great diverse team
yeah,
of superstars, and they wouldn't, like I said, they wouldn't come over unless they were, you were, not promoting a great culture, because that's,
yeah,
they could be anywhere at that stage in their career. They've got lots of choices, and
yeah.
to have chosen Capta Code is pretty special.
Yeah, it is pretty cool to see them joining, and we're hoping to really kind of build out now more of our junior mid-level as well, because we have such amazing talent now at the top
Yeah,
that can train up the next
yeah,
generation of MVPs,
yeah,
and also kind of trying to see how we can tie that in with programs that bring people in from non-traditional backgrounds. That's what I'm really passionate about.
nice.
As you see, I came from a non-traditional background. I did not go straight to school and then go straight into the pipeline at work, and um, moved industries and was a mom when I joined before I became a coder.
Yeah,
So I'm passionate about that opportunity for others.
that's great. Yeah, I mean, there's so many folks like that that are either upskilling or coming, immigrating, where they have skill sets but just
Yeah.
can't get a job because they've got language barriers,
Mhm.
any number of barriers. Again, just somebody opening up to the idea, like, hey, this person, we don't speak the same language. There is some communication that we have to get through, but wow, on the other side of that barrier is this great smart human being that's going to add a lot of value to our company,
Yeah.
once we just get past that one little hurdle, that can be a sticking point. So that's great to hear that that's kind of where you're headed.
Yeah, I could see
um,
even, I mean, AI in an instance like that could be really helpful, I'm sure.
Yeah.
My husband has the Meta glasses,
Yeah.
so they now translate. So I mean,
Yeah.
God knows what's coming around the bend, but I think we can use technology to help everyone's lives get a little bit better. Is my hope. I'm an
I've
optimist.
seen it. If I'll stay tuned. If you haven't seen it, stay tuned. In Colorado, we're gonna have a virtual event in April with a fellow from Microsoft named Juan Rivera, who just had shared at a local meeting not too long ago the next phase of Teams coming out that's going to translate in real
Wow.
time
So
with
there you
your
go.
voice. So the AI will train your voice.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so he shared a little bit of it. Like, so if we were talking and you were speaking in Spanish and I was speaking in English,
Yeah.
I would speak English, and then when you heard me, it would come out in Spanish.
Wow.
And
That's
same goes, I would hear
amazing.
you coming out in English, but it would be your voice translated in the moment, which was just, yeah, like,
That's
again, the cool use of this tech is just amazing. There's a lot of craziness, but when you focus on the cool use of this tech, like the Meta glasses was one I've mentioned it a number of times, but yeah, just
yeah.
people who have sight impairment now being able to
Yeah.
visualize what's around them without having to have somebody with them
Yeah. The
is such
freedom.
such a confidence building piece that or language. Like I said, I've got neighbors who are Vietnamese and they don't speak any English. I don't speak Vietnamese. I speak a little Vietnamese actually because I worked with Vietnamese folks, but not enough
Oh,
to have a conversation,
yeah.
unfortunately. But having I didn't have Meta glasses, but having Google Translate, we both had our translators out, and it was like we were
Yeah.
conversing, over stuff. So it is cool, some of this new tech, and I'm loving that call out to building your community internally to bring in more of that diversity too.
I could see that even in a personal note with the translate because as a daughter of an immigrant, I know my grandmother doesn't speak any Spanish. Now I speak Spanish, but for my brother, or my brother does speak some Spanish, but for like my family members that don't speak Spanish, they could have a conversation with each
Yeah,
other, and that's amazing. So
yeah,
that's really cool.
exactly. Just it just opens up a world for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, I appreciate having you on. Any last? So, are you traveling at all soon? Are you going to be in Chicago? Well, you're in near Chicago. Will you be at DynamicsCon?
I will be. That's
Yeah,
the
awesome.
plan.
Yeah,
So, since I'm close, I will be there. Yeah, that and then Summit is
yep.
the plan.
Those are
So,
your two big travel pieces.
yeah, my two big travel work things. I will be going to Paris at the end of the month with my mom. That's a
Nice,
personal travel. Yeah.
awesome,
And then again in June, we're going to Normandy. So that'll be fun.
sweet. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
nice. I've never. I was over one time, but didn't make it to Paris. Definitely want to get back to that side of the world just for fun. I might be
Paris is
going over
awesome.
for work to Germany. Still waiting to see how that works out. Which should
Ooh.
be fun. Yeah. And we actually have started a couple different groups overseas. So we've got groups kind of all over now, just not in the States for Doug. And yeah, so
Oh,
Liz, if you know
cool.
her, is going to Africa.
Oh,
They've got,
wow.
yeah, they've got two
Where?
meetup. They're going to Kenya and Ghana, so they'll be over there for
Wow.
two different regional events, kind
That's
of near the
awesome.
same time. Yeah, so we've got some cool stuff, and we just started the South African group too, which is cool. So yeah,
Wow.
a lot of international stuff going on. So I'm hoping maybe that'll get me out, on the international travel grind.
Yeah, it will be like, where is Bobby?
Yeah, I like the travel. So, and
Yeah,
I'm lucky my kids are grown, so I don't have to worry about that side of
yeah,
it. So my travel schedule can be a little freer, and like we were talking before, I hate missing out on events. So I do have that. I have to. I've gotten better about not really, getting disappointed when I can't travel because I know it is limited. I have to make choices and all that. So
yeah. Well, I think Germany is a great option. So
yeah, no, it'll be fun.
yeah, that's great. Started with brats and end with brats.
Cool. Thanks again, Madeline. I really appreciate it, and thanks again for working through the tech with me. I
Absolutely.
realized that we had tech issues, so that'll look a little different, but the conversation was just as good. So again, enjoy the rest of your day,
That's
and
fine.
yeah, look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Yep. Take care.
Have a great day. Bye bye.